Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Tuesday Tales. Tuesday Tales here on the Beehive. And as Tuesday Tales presents the Ballad of Broken Bird. Where's everybody at? Everybody and their dad are texting. That's where everybody's at. What's going on, everybody? We got one viewer at least, I see. I am so tired. So, if y'all don't know, I was sick over the weekend, probably from traveling in a tube with recycled air. Anyhow, hey, what's going on, Kev? Hey, Jessica. It's always you two. You two are the very first ones to always chime in. Um, yeah, and I'm just starting to feel better. The problem is I'm at that stage with chest colds where it just kind of rattles in the background, but it doesn't let you blow or hack that shit up. So yeah, I've got these super extra strength hauls. Hoping that'll help me out here. Um, yeah, it's been rough. I didn't sleep at all last night because I couldn't cough anything up. So I stayed up and wrote. I wrote some stuff and I watched some movies. I feel like that's all I've done here in the last 4 or 5 days. So I also did something very embarrassing this morning. I was supposed to have a doctor's appointment. At least I thought I was supposed to have a doctor's appointment this morning. And I so I showed up here at the clinic. Hey, how's it going there? Yeah, actually I got some OJ with me, buddy. Um I went to the clinic this morning. My appointment was at 8:30 and I went to go in and the clinic was locked and I'm like, "What the hell?" So I called and I started bitching them out. And they go, "You're actually scheduled for tomorrow morning at 8:30." And I went and looked at my schedule and I went, "Ah, shit, I'm sorry." So there you go. That was my day today. Um, the thing that sucks about this shit is it's really hard for me to breathe. So these little halls things really help me out quite a bit. So anyhow, if you are just joining us here on the Broken Bird ride, um, he got a cancer diagnosis and he sold all of his stuff and hopped on his motorcycle and decided to drive across America to find himself and maybe chase some ghosts. And along the way, he meets some interesting people. So he is started off in Minneapolis. He's in Rapid City, in Sturgis, and he was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and he was in last week. He was in Craters of the Moon, Idaho, at the national park there, and his health was kind of declining. And there was a rainstorm. He was sleeping in a cave out there. There was a rainstorm, and some of that water poured through those lava tubes there in this cave, and he drank from it, and he is renewed for a bit, for a bit. So now he's on his way out to Seattle, and we're going to join him on that trip. And since I'm tired as hell, oh, by the way, so I got this water, and it's horrible. It's horrible. I know water's water, right? Bottled water is water. I don't know what it. I don't know if it's because it's in a recycled bottle or what, but yeah, it's not very good. It's perfectly balanced pH purified water. Well, evidently I don't like perfectly balanced water. So, but I'll finish drinking it just cuz liquids, right? Got to do liquids and then I'll jump into my OJ there, girl. There I'm all set. All right, y'all ready? All right, let's get this started. Bye. The Ballad of Broken Bird, chapter 13. The rough, jagged, and desolate landscape along I 84 sailed by. A few cars swishing by as I gunned it past them. The green top mountain ranges stood in the background, unmoving, as if their location was unobtainable. My chest still felt open and free. I cherished every moment I was able to breathe deep. It's funny how you take breathing for granted. For the most part, inhaling and exhaling always came with wheezing or some type of obstruction. Right now, I was breathing with new lungs. Every breath was clear and clean, with no sounds. I stopped in LeGrand and gassed up, a decent sized town that sat at the foot of the Blue Mountains. I sat on my bike and took it all in. Pulled out my pack of cigs, looked at them all nestled in a semi crushed white and gold box. I took a gulp of gas station coffee instead and put them back in my pocket. I found myself calling my dad. "Hey, Pop," I said. "Hey, kid." He sounded genuinely happy to hear from me. "How's life on the road?" I'm like Kerouac. There was a pause because he didn't understand who Jack Kerouac was, even though his son went on and on about him like an obsessive teenager tends to do back in the day. "Where you at?" "Haywire Canyon on the north side of LeGrand, Idaho. It's beautiful out here. I've hauled some freight at a time or two through there." "So, Pop, I got a call this morning." "Oh, yeah?" "Yeah, it was Jean. You gave her the number to this phone?" "Well, there was a lot of concerned people when you left on your trip. She was one of them." "Yeah, it's okay, Pop. You feeling okay?" "Yeah, never better, actually. I think all this fresh air is doing me good." "Good. Serious, Dad. I had a bad patch, but I must have been dealing with pneumonia. I feel about 100% now." "Well, I'm glad you called. Glad to hear you're feeling better, too." "Thanks, Dad. I'll ring you later on down the road, okay?" "Okay, son. Love you." "Love you too, Pops." Dad wasn't an emotional man, but he avoided the hard parts of life that required an emotional response. Anytime I ever felt good, he took to it very cautiously. I think he's used to getting the rug pulled out from underneath him. He had his own disappointments growing up, and he expected those same disappointments would hit his son as well, but he didn't say anything about them. He just agreed and moved on to another subject, or just said goodbye and moved on. Pendleton, Oregon was spread out alongside the Umatilla River and was my stop for the day. It was an old cow town, and they banked on the cowboy theme to the extreme. But it was hard to swallow when you've got a Walmart jetting up out of the pines across the rushing river from the state penitentiary. I cruised the main strip, had a slight smile on my face as I passed by the locals, who looked at me suspiciously. It was nice to see some of the locals were of the red skin variety, but they stared at me too because I wasn't from their res. I made it to the end of the block and then took a turn towards the river. Right on the corner overlooking the river was a place called the Pendleton Lodge, with a smaller venue attached to it called the Stag. I knew I was batting 100 when it came to little bars in small towns, but I went in anyways and I ordered a whiskey and a cheeseburger. "You ain't from the res?" an older native said from about 4 bar stools down from me. "Nah, grandfather," I said. "I'm from the Midwest." You far from home?" "Yep." "Ride your horse into town?" "How'd you guess?" "Way you're dressed. Plus, I heard your horse pull up." "Well, loud pipes save lives, as they say. Or maybe you're just compensating for something." I laughed. Yeah, yeah, maybe I am." "Maybe you are. Is this your res?" He chuckled to himself. He reminded me a little of Ben. Maybe he was a little younger. "Do I look like one of those rich skins up there in Casino Land?" he said. "Yeah, we've got them in Minnesota too." "Do you even know what it is to be First Nation?" "Yeah, my mother taught me a lot. My Uncle Bones. But I was never raised on a res." "I didn't think so. You've got white attitude. Doesn't matter. You were probably brought up on your white father's beliefs." "Well, there's nothing wrong with what my father believes." With that, the old man was silent and my burger came. I ate it in silent anger. I can usually take a good roasting, but not when someone says shit about my parents or my siblings. That shit just makes me boil. The old Indian left before I finished. "Don't mind him," the bartender said. "He's probably more white than you. He doesn't even live on the res." "Oh, yeah?" I said, finishing my burger and my drink. "He's kind of the town character. Homeless is what I hear. He comes off kind of bitter and sarcastic, but he's harmless." "Well, I'm not worried." I paid my tab and walked outside. I mounted my bike when the old man stepped out of the darkness. "You got a smoke?" he asked. "Yeah, man," I said, and I handed him a pack of Marlboros I had in my saddlebag. His gnarled fingers fumbled with the cellophane wrapper, and then he pulled one out and handed it back to me. "Nah, man, you keep that one," I said. "Oh, maybe you are a rich casino skin." "Say, what's your beef?" "I don't have a beef." "Bullshit. You've been a sarcastic asshole since I met you. What's your deal?" "What's my deal?" He huffed and then lit a cig. "What's my deal?" He let out a spasm of coughs and reminded me that I hadn't had a cig all day since I left Idaho. "Take it easy, man," I said to him, patting him on the back. "How about you fuck off?" "All right. I just gave you a pack of cigarettes, but I'll just fuck off." "I didn't ask for the whole pack," he yelled and threw the pack back at me. It bounced off my chest. "I just asked for one lousy cigarette, hot shot." You know, you're unfucking believable. You know that? "The fuck out of here before I beat your high and mighty ass." Beat my. I didn't finish. Anger was already making its way out of my back pocket, and I didn't know how I'd feel knowing I cracked an old man. I just stomped the kickstart and roared my horse to life. He started barking more swear words at me, but I drowned him out with my muffler. I gave him the middle finger and smoked the tires out of the parking lot. I stopped at the bottle shop and bought myself a bottle of Jack and went on down the street. I got about 9 blocks and then I stopped. I turned my bike around and headed back towards the stag. The old man was still bitching to himself as I pulled up and killed the engine. Hey! I shouted to him to shut up. He kept mumbling and I shouted again, this time holding up the bottle of Jack. The fuck you want, kid? He spat. You need a lift home? I asked. He looked around and then looked at my bike. On that? Well, what the hell else am I gonna get you ride home with? He mumbled a few words and then hiked his old leg over the seat. Where am I taking you? I said, a bit annoyed with him. Home, he said. Where's home? Take me to the baseball fields. You live at the baseball fields? Just take me there, okay? Fuck you kids and your questions. I started up the bike and he directed me several blocks to the baseball diamonds that sat across the road from the river. This it? I asked. This is it, he mumbled. Climbed off, shook out a Marlboro and lit it. For the first time since the cave, I wanted to light one up myself. He lit it and then started walking across the street. Hey, I said, where are you going? Home, he answered without turning around. Hey, it's been magic. We should do this again. Smartass, too, lousy piece of shit. Now I had to laugh. Despite the curmudgeon attitude, this guy was really growing on me. He walked across the road and into the trees and disappeared into the brush. I shut off my bike and pushed it towards where he went in. Hid it in the branches, and then he grabbed the bottle. I grabbed the bottle and stuffed it in my jacket. When I caught up to him, he was lighting a fire on the sand. He was doing it old school, like Ben, but his fire roared to life. Is this another fire ceremony? The river was swollen and rushing past, singing her song through the fallen branches and the rapids. You gonna share that bottle? The old man said. Or you gonna brain me with it? Well, I'd brain you, but shit splatters, I said sarcastically. He didn't laugh, but there was a wrinkled smile on his wide purple lips. The fire lit up the area, a shelter built from branches and old tarps that resembled a teepee stood behind the old man nestled in the trees. He brought out an old Indian blanket and laid it out next to the fire, and he motioned me to sit. He pulled out a cigarette and crushed open the tobacco in his palm. He cupped his hands and blew into them, and then he threw the tobacco into the fire. I've thanked the ancestors for bringing you to me, he said somberly. I don't get many guests. Well, I didn't think I'd be that welcome, I said as I pulled out the bottle of Jack. I wasn't so sure about you when we met, but when you came back and offered me a ride, well, I didn't want to tell him I wanted to beat the dentures out of his smart mouth. You honored your ancestors, and you honored me, and that's a rare thing to come by these days. Why are you here? Why are any of us here? No, I mean, living out here instead of up on at the res. They're living it up pretty high on the hog up there, eh? Well, there were some nice homes up there, yes. A look of sadness shone in his eyes. He poked the fire with a stick and then coughed. My people came here in the early days, he said. They were victims of the Western expansion. White man kept forcing us west as they gobbled up the land. But we learned to prosper here. The Cayuse, the Walla Walla, and the Umatilla formed the Confederated Tribes. We were great horsemen, and were renowned for that skill. Eventually, many broken treaties later, this land was taken from us, and we were put on a reservation. I was born shortly after that. We were poor people then. My mother would tell me stories of the coming of white men. The town sprang up pretty quick after that. Then a group of skins get the idea of opening a casino out there in your neck of the woods. Well, that's when our people began to prosper again. Some tribes squandered the money and took 'em down a bad path. Some prospered, like them skins up there in the hills. But money became their creator. Nature was nothing. The old ways were nothing. I couldn't live amongst these people anymore. Sure, their homes are beautiful on the outside, but inside, they're trash. That's a sad story, I said, passing the bottle. He took a gulp, wiped his mouth, and stared at me. So, what are you running from? Me? He caught me off guard. I'm not running from anything. He let out a hearty laugh, then coughed again. You're like a bird fleeing a burning forest, he said. He must have seen sadness hit my eyes because he patted my shoulder and handed me the bottle back. Men run, he said. Sometimes we run towards, sometimes we run away. You, my young friend, are running away. I'm dying, I said after a long pause. We're all dying. I'm probably closer than you to the end of my path. No, I've got cancer. Stage 4. Lungs? I nodded. So you're killing yourself with those cigarettes? I just think it's kind of pointless to quit if I'm dying. So you think you're gonna outrun death? Well, no. Just always wanted to take a trip around America. Maybe find something. Maybe find death. Maybe. So you are running towards something. I I guess. It just seems like a person struggles in their life and you'd think it would at least go halfway the way you thought it would turn out, but it doesn't. Or maybe you reach a place in life where you think you're doing great and then some asshole disease comes around and takes you out. Sometimes life is shorter than we want, and sometimes it's longer than we want, but it is never what we want. I don't even know what that means, old man. I looked at the bottle, and we had drank almost half of it already. You ever done a vision quest? He spoke up. Where you go out in the wilderness and starve yourself half to death until you hallucinate? No. Maybe you should. Maybe you should do a sweat. I don't know. Ever done one? No. Mom told me stories about it, but I don't know if I believe in all that mumbo jumbo. Of course you do. he said, laughing. I'm a good judge of character. You've held on to those stories your mother told you. If they didn't mean anything to you, you would have thrown them away. I had to laugh with him. Maybe because I was getting drunk, maybe because I knew he spoke the truth. Tomorrow, he said. Tomorrow I want you to take me somewhere. Where? I asked. I really should be going tomorrow. Nonsense. You're where you're supposed to be right now. Tomorrow we will go to this place I will show you. If you see it and you still want to fly away, you can. If not, then we will have a sweat. I took a few swallows and the jack burned down into my stomach. Why not? I slurred. We will sleep, he said, standing up. You will dream, then when morning gets here, to a singer song, we will journey into the hills. I nodded and sort of plopped myself onto the blanket. He brought out another and covered me with it, and took himself and my bottle into a shelter and went to sleep. I turned to look at the sky. It was a thick gossamer curtain filled with one star. Mother, I whispered to myself. And I drifted into a dream. I was walking in the dark, but my eyes had adjusted enough for me to see that there was a white wolf walking ahead of me. We were following a fence line amongst some tall grass. Where are you taking me? I asked the white wolf. Do you see the deer ahead of us? It whispered. Yes. She is making a path for you. A path to what? A path to where your soul cries out. I noticed we were traveling downhill into even deeper blackness, and I stopped. I can't go in there, I said. Do not fear, the wolf said. I will always be with you. How will I find this place? Follow the deer along the fence line. I placed my hand on the wolf's neck, and he led me down into the darkness where my soul cried out. How's everybody doing? Yeah. Is everybody still here? Am I still online? Is everybody in? Yeah? All right. We're all doing good. Cool beans. You got the feels, Kev? Kev has got the feels. That's good. I'm glad you got the feels, man. My phone is like going crazy. I can't. All right. What we got going on here? All right. Chapter 14. Let's clean up here a little bit. Clean myself up. Clean yourself up. You look like a mess. All right. Excuse me, folks, for being gross. Chapter 14. Breakfast was a few swallows of whiskey. Surprisingly, it helped me focus. My mind was drifting back and forth to the dream or vision that I had last night. The old man finished what was left and had put on some old raggedy ceremonial garb. The sight of him made me sad. I saw such great power and promise, covered in ragamuffin wraps that had glowed like a neon rainbow at one time. He was lost in time, or maybe lost to time. Your horse ready for the trip? He asked. Yeah, I answered reluctantly. You ain't ready, are you? I really should be on my way to Seattle by now. Nonsense. You can't take the next step until you finish this one. Did did you have a vision? I struggled to get the cobwebs out of my head. The dream was vivid, but some details were muddled. I think so. Then let's do this. We headed out of town proper, took a dirt road just outside the reservation. It looped around a band of hills and ended in a small parking space at the base of a large hill that was blanketed with conifers. What is this place? I asked. I could feel power come from it, emanating from the top of the hill. He stopped and produced a smudge stick. He pulled out an eagle feather and fanned the cleansing smoke in a clockwise position around me. This is what my people used to call the den of the white wolf, Ska Sunka, he said with pride. Ska Sunka? Yes, he is the white wolf. He connects this land to the spirit world. He is also the protector. He spoke to me last night. The old man stopped and looked into my eyes. Then a smile that produced many wrinkles on his face appeared. That's good, I asked. It's very good, he finished his cleansing. I'd have been worried if we were here and he hadn't spoken to you. Well, that's a relief. I told him about the dream. He seemed to know what I was talking about. We headed up the hill. As we trekked across the high grass, I noticed there was an old fence line we were following. We came to a large plum thicket. Ska Sunka said the deer will show you the way, the old man spoke. Yes. We walked around to the eastern edge of the thicket, and there was a deer trail that had been blazed by many deer that made their way down to a creek. We skidded down a steep slope that stopped at a flat area that overlooked an oxbow creek. Across the creek, another 3 ancient cottonwoods stood, as if to rule the tiny island they sat on. This, I was choked up, as I had never seen land so beautiful. This is so beautiful. This, he motioned to the land, is where your heart cries out. I feel like we stepped into another world. Before you get too caught up in the scenery, nature boy, we need to get this sweat built. He pointed to a thick patch of young willows that were growing along the creek. He instructed me to cut them down and bring them to this spot, enough to frame a small hut. When I returned, he had started a fire and laid stones he had gathered from the creek to gather the heat from the fire. I began building the sweat lodge while he prayed. When I finished the lodge, he handed me a buffalo skull and told me to raise it above my head and face my ancestors to the west, and he prayed again. The lodge was heating up, and my nerves were starting to get jittery. What's wrong? He asked. My lungs, I said. I don't know if what's left of them can take the smoke. You didn't seem to mind inhaling those nicotine sticks. True enough. Don't worry. The wolf is with us. The moon and stars are getting ready, and the smoke is blessed. Your ancestors and mine stand at the ready. He put a comforting hand on my shoulder. Okay, I sighed. Let's do this. Immediately, the heat blasted me in the face. I gasped and my lungs began to sting. I froze up. Breathe, the old man said behind me. I'm trying, I said, frightened. I I can't. There was panic in my tone. Sit on the ground and keep your head down until your lungs catch the cool air. I sat down and closed my eyes. I tried to think about happy things. I reasoned that if this old man could breathe in such air, so could I. I kept my head low until I was brave enough to take in a gulp of air. It immediately stung me and I coughed violently into the dirt. The old man laid his hands on my back and I began to feel comfort. I slowly raised my head and then breathed deep. It still stung, but I didn't cough. And then it was the weight. I was drenched in sweat. The salt stung my eyes and began blurring my vision as I stared at the fire. It looked like snakes dancing in unison with each other. Then the snakes became man and woman, and they danced and they loved. Between them, a child was birthed, and then there was only the woman and the child. The mother faded, and then the child became a small bird. It fought with gravity to take flight. Flames raged all around it as its wings battled with the wind to take flight. I began to cry for the little bird. I could feel its rage. I wanted nothing more than to ride the wind, only to be grounded. I could taste its tears as its feathers flew about in its fit of rage. The flames seemed to consume its every effort. Then the flames died down. The bird disappeared, and there was nothing left but embers crackling. Then the fire popped, and a large eagle burst from the rekindled flames. It seemed to scream triumphantly from deep inside its lungs. I realized that I wasn't breathing. Had I been holding my breath the entire time? I took in a large gulp of air, and I began to see black spots. Eventually, those black spots got large enough to swallow me up into unconsciousness. When I awoke, we were outside the lodge. The cool night air pampered my abused lungs. It was pitch black in that thicket, but I could see the hint of dawn off in the horizon. I was wrapped in an old Indian blanket. The old man was getting water from the creek. Drink this, he said, handing me a metal cup. I swallowed and coughed. He laughed to himself. What time is it? I asked. What does that matter? Do you have a date? Well, no. How long was I out? Why do you bother with quantity? Why do you gauge everything on man-made implements of measure? You have spoke with the ancestors. You've been touched by spirit. You found the place where your spirit cries out, and you're worried about what time it is? Did did you did you see? Your vision is your own, but yes, I saw. I didn't need to see any of it because I had you pegged as a broken bird from the first time I met you. What are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Be honest with yourself. You're angry. No, I'm not. Bullshit. I'm not. Do you think that you're the first angry man to come up this hill to find answers? I was an angry young man once. You're still angry. You're just old. He had a deep belly laugh at that remark. I'm still angry, he agreed. But I'm still having my own vision quest I started so many seasons ago. The vision never leaves you. You lose it. What are you so angry about? My vision is mine and mine alone. I threw a rock into the creek. I thought I was over all of those feelings. You should focus on everything you lost, he said seriously. A man spends his whole lifetime, from boyhood to manhood and beyond, collecting things. When we lose things we have no control over, well, it blocks us from moving forward. I thought about all the losses I had taken: my relationship with Jean, my mother, my health, Uncle Bones, the indirect loss of my father. Anger stained my cheeks at those thoughts. How does one get over those losses? I asked humbly. One doesn't get over some of those deep losses, he said. He just accepts them. But, nothing. They're losses. You take them. You brush yourself off and you move on. The dear ones you keep in your breast pocket close to your heart, but you always move on. That sometimes seems impossible, but it's not. Nature moves on. Animals lose their young, they lose their parents, but they keep moving on. Trees are lost to fire or lightning or drought, but nature moves on. Through earthquakes, volcanoes, tornadoes, hurricanes, and the like, the earth moves on. As cold as that explanation was, it made sense to me. Wopila, I whispered. The old man smiled and looked over at me. That's it. Wopila was being thankful for everything in existence, for being exactly what it was, being thankful for the moment we live in. Then I am grateful, I said to him. Grateful to what you've done for me. His wrinkled face gave me back a near toothless smile. I brought him I bought him a meal in town and left him some money. May your ancestors protect you on your journey, he said as I finished packing up my bike. Don't forget the lessons you learned and the open your mind to what you will learn. Might be too late for me to learn anything else, old man, I said with a half smile. If this old crow can learn a thing or two from some young punk drifting in off the interstate on that old rickety bike, you can learn more too. However long you remain on this side of the grass. We shook hands. Part of me was sad because I would probably never see him again. Not on this plane, at least. Uncle Bones's bike roared to life, with a few splutters and then steadied out into a guttural chug. My phone buzzed in my breast pocket, and I switched off the bike. It was my stepmother. Hey, Kathy, I said, what's up? Sorry to bother you, she said. I noticed a little worry in her voice, but I thought you should know. What's that? It's your dad. He had a visit the other day with the urologist. What? Why? He was having plumbing problems. Went in to have it looked at, and, well, they found a tumor. Fuck. Now, don't you worry too much. Most prostate cancer is treatable. Well, should I come home? That's totally up to you. But maybe you should wait until the biopsy comes back. Well, can I talk to him? I, d- I don't think that's a good idea right now. You know how your father is. He really doesn't want anyone to know. especially you. Why wouldn't he want me to know? He doesn't want to ruin your trip. Besides, he hates it when people worry about him. Doesn't like to be a bother. God damn it. We should have the biopsy results in a few days. I was tearing up, but tried to stay calm. Will you please keep me in the loop, Kathy? Of course. So you're not going to come home? Well, you said to wait until the biopsy results came in. Okay, but I also said it's totally up to you. I didn't want to feel guilty, but I had to make a decision. Just, fuck. Just keep me posted on what's going on, okay? Please? I finally said. Of course. Drive safe, she said, and hung up. I closed the flip phone, shoved it back into my pocket, pulled out a cigarette from a new pack out of my saddlebags, and lit it. First inhale, I broke into a coughing fit again and began to feel lightheaded. You okay? The old man asked. Yeah, sorry, I said, taking another puff and then blowing it out angrily. Trouble? Roadblocks. Another roadblock put up in my path. Must be a big roadblock. I haven't seen you smoke in a couple of days. God damn it. I threw the cig to the ground and crushed it out on the gravel with my boot. Your path will always be bumpy. If it were smooth, you wouldn't learn anything. True. Look, I better go. Thanks again for everything, man. Remember, your wing isn't completely healed. Be gentle with it. Be gentle with yourself. And with a wave, I stepped it into first and roared away towards Seattle. And that, my friends, that and that is chapter 13 and 14. I hope you guys liked it. I'm still famous. Holy shit, that's bright. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Yeah, Broken Bird is going to be heading into Seattle next week. And there's going to be some things that are going to happen, and he's going to be spending a little longer than he planned on. So, yeah, he probably should have went. Yeah. So, well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It's been an awesome story to write. So, get a lot of feels out. So, anyhow, join me. Hopefully, I'm feeling good enough to sing on Thursday. So you can join me and Bobby. I'll be playing some music for you on Thursday, and then coffee with friends on Sunday. I think. Yeah, I think that's how it's gonna go. You think he should have went? Do you, Gerald? You think he should have went home to be with his dad, or you think he should have just kept going on his trip? So, yeah, that's a hard decision. Anyhow, thank you guys very much for joining me. I'm glad you guys had a good time. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Gerald, it was nice to have you here hanging out with me for story hour. I don't know I don't know if I've ever seen you out here. So I'm glad you joined in, buddy. So those of you don't know, I've known Gerald was my first friend uh I ever made in Minnesota. I think we were 4 or 5 years old when we met. So yeah. Now look at us, we're a couple old men. Uh yeah. It's funny how things work, huh? Right. All right, you guys. Have a great night. I gotta get some sleep or something. like that. Um, I need to heal. So anyhow, love you guys. Thanks again for coming out. Thanks for sharing this stuff with your friends and family. Hopefully they still are your friends and family afterwards. All right, it's been a great night. Love y'all. Hey, thanks, Gerald, and thanks for coming out, buddy. Good to see you. Mwah. Peace. And a bottle of hair grease. And Kevin, this is for you. There you go. All right. My duties have been fulfilled. Namaste.